Right, so I'm just waiting to see exactly what's going to happen, because the problem with YouTube streaming now, oh there it is it's been a bit awkward with the new one. I don't always know where it's going to pop up. So I guess that means I now know where it's popped up, because it's just popped up. So I've now got to find the link for it, which is there, and let everyone know about it. And two others. I don't know why it's not worked. Basically, it's not actually working on the new dashboard, the new YouTube dashboard. Because it says things like, oh, there's a stream key, put this into your encoder. My encoder is not interested in stream keys. And so it goes into the old system. Well, at least I know that now. So that'll help for next week. If I can actually find where people are. Oh, hello, Dimitri. Right, this doesn't... oh, it's more in Australia, of course. Right, I could do with this bit being expanded, if I'm going to be honest. Pop out chat, will that help me? It may help me. There we go. So if I put that there, and I should be in good shape, at least I'll be able to see the comments. So I had a few characters I was potentially thinking between. I've just decided in the end to go for the Death Knight. I did a little pre-thing last week. And what I said, excited to try an 8.3. Not yet, no. I mean, the issue is, where I was last week, is I was saying what I wanted to do when I came back was very, very quickly get my Pathfinder so that then I could level on various characters. I don't even know what I'm doing. What am I doing? I could level on various characters, and it's not in here. And fly, like fly around, happy as Larry. But then there was going to be a load of rep grinding, and I'm not at the moment got very much time. So I've just decided to just level up. Evening looks like DK. Yes, it is. It was basically going to be a choice between this, Demon, Hunter, Warrior, or Rogue. I just thought I'd already sort of started this one. So until I've got my new sort of life schedule under control, which is going to take some weeks still, I'm not going to have that much time. And the other thing is, like, I did have a little bit of other time in the week as well, and I was actually playing Star Wars The Old Republic. So the fact that I'm going to still cycle around multiple MMOs. Can I just... Yes, let's get rid of that. Essentially means that I'm certainly not going to get Pathfinder anytime soon, so I just thought, sod it, I'll just do some leveling.
You have my attention. Trust your instincts.
So let's have a look. Where should we go first? Storm Song Valley is my favourite. So I guess we go there.
I've trained my whole life for this.
Normally I would have considered which one would be the most difficult and do that first, because obviously with legendaries equipped, but I think on this character,
I'll be fine, Cyrus.
I mean one of them's a Blood DK legendary.
I have the
That one's just the crafted one, so it's not that amazingly geared anyway. And I can't necessarily, it's been a long time, I can't actually remember which ones would be the most difficult anymore. Why do you came Crusader Paladin? Because my Paladin's already leveled. All there is to do on my Paladin is I could do LFR and I could do some rep grind, and that's not necessarily that exciting.
Aid your efforts. You will have the full support of the Alliance's finest soldiers, the 7th Legion, under the leadership of High Commander.
Hang on a minute. Do I have to do this now?
An honor to work with you.
We didn't do this until we...
For those situations
Oh.
that require a more subtle approach, Master Matthias Shaw and his SI-7 operatives are at your disposal.
Champion.
My duties.
I don't really want to do this just now.
I look forward to hearing of your progress. I am confident that this campaign is in the right hands. Good luck to you all.
Safe
What was that? Yeah, no, Stormsong Valley is the one with the bees and the honey monsters. Right, I'm not actually doing that yet.
No time like the
Do
present
I?
to get underway.
Yeah.
We have an operative ready.
This is because I've already done it on a character, isn't it? I'm not doing that yet. Going to Storm... Hang on. I don't even know what I'm doing. Oops. Alright. I was forgetting this is not the horse that can do water walking. Do all war missions at the same time that gives you the last level and warlock campaign locks. I'm not necessarily going to be that bothered. I'm just going to do some general leveling at the moment.
I think even someone as well travelled as you would be impressed. Our larger ships always carry a tide sage to
I don't need to be terribly efficient.
put wind in their sails. Nobody seems to know why he still hasn't returned home.
Any horse can water... Yeah, I know that, but not if you haven't equipped the token with it. And that token's been equipped on my Paladin charge, which obviously my Death Knight can't use. But my Death Knight can do Path of Frost, which I completely forgot to do.
Not just to bring the fleet home.
Or I could use the Strider. Because I was actually just thinking to myself, why is my Strider mount not equipped on there? And of course, because I'd used Path of Frost. This is how long it's been since I've played.
Well met.
But yeah, I used that on my Paladin chart, which was a bit foolish. I suppose I should have used it on a mount that anyone can use. But sod, the other characters are all peasants.
You there. Who's in charge here?
Alright then.
We can ensure the safe passage of your vessel for a price. May the sea carry you swiftly. You are nearly as insufferable as Brother Alan. So, we'll take that as a no then.
And at least one of the advantages of not having played it for a while, I'll remember vague bits, but I'll have not exactly be sick of keep doing this. Because obviously in the beta and the alpha I was doing this a lot.
Waste your time. Be that way. We just might.
You're not sure you like water walking horses?
Couple your efforts, fools, before we lose control.
Well, it'd be better surely than a great big mammoth or something.
Archives with that fool Elen, lest I use you to stabilize the rift.
Finally. I don't like the looks of this. Let's get out. The Tide Sages have some of the most complete libraries in the world. I bet we'll find our archivist there.
Yeah, well, I mean, who would bother making their dragon and water walking?
Do not delay. Lord Stormsong needs these charts at the Shrine of the Storm at once. Follow me. Eyes down.
Why? Could just make it fly.
I'll
outsiders are forbidden in the archive, brother.
Back to your work. They're with me.
Can what? Oh yeah, if you can't fly. But at some point you would aspire to being able to fly. Even I aspire to being able to fly at some point.
Yes, brother.
This way.
But at the moment, if I'm going to be spending... I've got limited amounts of time to spend on these. And if I'm going to do it, I'd rather not spend my time just doing grinds. And I haven't actually leveled up an Alliance character. I did obviously quite a lot during the Alpha and Beta, but...
You have no idea of the danger you are in here.
What do you mean, danger?
The fleet is not lost. It is being held prisoner in an unnatural storm.
Wait until there's a week when you get 50% or more rep.
You will not interfere.
Oh no, I've got to try and remember all my bloody binds now. What the hell?
Following orders.
Are you all right? I should have known better than to think Wade above the shadow that has taken House Stormsong.
Oh, contracts. I'd forgotten all about those. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Among us who have sown the seeds of resistance. Find Brother Pike in Benedon. Give him this pendant. Our
How can
work
I
is
help?
just beginning. He will need your help.
Thank you for your help.
While you
We
still
won't forget
can.
it.
The others
I'll
have
call
surely.
Gale.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's really just that at the moment I'm spending time on the channel that's actually making me the money, a little bit of cover teaching that I'm doing, various things around the house. At some point, some of these little projects will fall by the wayside and I'll have more time. Then I can spend time on grind. Not so much now. Am I supposed to be here? Fly, Gale Heart to... what? Oh, right, yeah. Spoilers, this girl is important. Yeah, I mean, I'm not unfamiliar with the story. It's just been a while since I've played it.
Much help to the Alliance until the fleet is
I
home.
know who she is.
We'll need to bring House Stormsong back into the fold first. They control the Tide Sages, and the Tide Sages the fleet. Lord Stormsong rules the house and basically the entire valley. It sounds like he's the key to all this, but he hasn't been to Borealis in months. We'll start our search in Brenadin. If nothing else, hopefully we can find this.
And in fact, generally speaking, I mean, if I get, let's say I get this character leveled before I decide to do
Come down there.
with the rep grind. Yeah, mechanomes are not actually a draw for me in terms of getting any rep grind done. But let's say I still haven't done the rep grind and I've got this character to 120. Well, I would do it on this character, wouldn't I, as human? You still get the bonus as human, don't you?
I'll try to figure out why the road is closed. See if you can convince the soldiers to clear out.
Ahoy! Get out of my face!
Good day to you.
Don't get your balance.
You dare oppose House Stormsong!
Just find a good community rather than a guild allows you to be online with blah blah blah. I mean, at the moment I'm not going to do that because I'm just not going to be on very much.
We're relentless as the briny deep.
But yeah, at some point that may well be the answer. Bear in mind I didn't really try much in the communities when it came out. Don't you just attack? But some of them are doing what I'm saying. He's off. I'll just keep doing this.
Our fleet will crush you.
I've had enough of you anyway.
Ahoy! Storm, we're relentless as the briny beast.
Have I tried Classic? No, only in that beta that was up before. Again, time like right. Here's the thing: if I do Classic, it's going to take, with the amount of time I could spend on this, and let's say I didn't play any retail. And I do want to play retail because I want some characters at level cap, and I want some characters at level cap before the alpha and beta is really kicking in.
This pass is the only land route into the valley. How Stormsong is
So, you know, that's more important. I cannot even imagine, but if I were just to do Classic, I cannot even imagine just how long it would take. Here's what would happen is, right, if I were doing it now, you know, we'd just be mosey on doing a bit of Elwyn Forest. We'd come back next week, I would still be in Elwyn Forest. Hi, James. So that's the difficulty there until I have a bit more time. Because as I say, I do have a bit more. I'm not just saying, oh, I've only got these 2 hours on a Sunday. I do have other time in the week, particularly on Tuesday and Thursday, when, you know, I have full days and I don't spend the whole day just making videos. Although I am also conscious of the fact I would like to start doing some more videos for this channel as well, but obviously I need to spend more time actually playing the game first. But yeah, you know, at the moment I'm also wanting to play through a bit of Star Wars: The Old Republic. I've not done that in a little bit. How's my other channel going? Well, it mean by my other channel. I assume you mean the one that's paying the bills now. It's going all right. It's okay.
How can I help?
I am obviously going to want it to grow now. What I didn't do was get it to the position where it is, you know, just transfer to that and it's going strong. It's enough to pay the bills. Obviously you want it to be more than that. But you need to go full time to have the time to get it up to there, or at least I do. But it's okay. Main problem I've had this month is demonetization biting me on the arse.
We will reclaim what's ours.
But it'll become less of a problem once I get properly into my schedule, because most of the videos that are demonetized, if you call it that,
For the soldiers.
are
Citizens, disperse at once.
oh, hello. What the hell? Fire. Fire is bad. Who'd have thunk it?
My family to be safe again.
What's going on here, brother?
Tides bless you. I wish
I thought I was saying, sorry. I had a senior moment there.
Arana Strand is a short ride from here. Come.
Have I been hitting the gym? No, I've been doing the opposite, hitting the gym. I've lost weight simply because a year ago, just over a year ago, actually nearly 13 months ago, a surgeon very kindly chopped out most of my stomach. So now, I mean, I can eat anything, just not very much of anything. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say, Star Wars. So I've had a bit of a resurgence with the old Star Wars. Obviously, more time to play. I always wanted to play through the other class lines. I've only done... How many have I done? I think I've only played through 3 classes in terms of... And that's just for the first version of Star Wars: The Old Republic. But... my girlfriend, like, she knew I wanted to go and see Episode 9, Star Wars Episode 9. And I'll be honest, I was going to go and see it, but I did, obviously, I'm one of those who really didn't like Episode 8. It was just utterly pointless. And even the couple of scenes in it that were quite good were ultimately, like, poor because it ended up not being what you thought it was. But anyway, so she said, well, you know, we had one day, she said, should we just go and watch Star Wars at the cinema? You know you want to. And I said, well, yeah, but I may whinge about it and you probably don't want to, because she's not a Star Wars fan. And she said, no, let's go and watch it. So we went and watched it, and she said that she really liked it. And she hasn't seen the Star Wars films. So she said we should watch the Star Wars films. So obviously I've got them on DVD. So we've been watching those. So far, because I did have the conversation with her. Oh no, I liked episode 9. I actually liked it. You know, I did think to myself, how can they possibly rescue 8? And it seems what they did is like ignored 8. No, episode 9 I thought was good. I mean, the originals would have been good enough for me because I have to say there is a lot of good literature in the Star Wars universe. Like the Darth Bane trilogy being my absolute favourite. But you know, they did make the films. Some of them are better than others. But episode 9, I actually liked. If I were to sort of put where they are in my personal order, so episodes 4 to 6 were very good. My personal favourite was 6. I mean, we've just watched yesterday. We watched Empire Strikes Back. So yeah, I was going to say we had the conversation about in what order to watch them because I thought obviously you don't show someone 1, 2, 3 before 4, 5, 6 because otherwise it ruins all the twists. At the same time, where do you put Rogue One? Because Rogue One is a good film. I know it's a spin-off, but it's a good one. And you can actually watch, although there's a couple of little things in it as little nods, you can actually watch Rogue One before episode 4. But she said, well, let's just watch them in the order in which they came out. So that's what we're doing. So she's watched episode 4. She liked that. So we watched Empire yesterday. She liked that. I'll tell you what she didn't like, though. She took umbrage at this. No, I'm not an Ewok fan. I'll tell you why I liked episode 6 better in a minute. She took umbrage at the fact that when Leia says she loved Han, he just said, I know. She said, that's a dick move. So I did assure her that she may appreciate him more in Return of the Jedi. So that's presumably what we'll be watching on Wednesday. So yeah, no, the reason I personally prefer 6 is just some of the scenes in it are very good. I think the whole Tatooine bit is excellent at the start. And also the duel between Vader and Luke in it is brilliant, where Luke just gets really pissed off and hammers into Vader. And that whole scene with him sort of realising where he's going if he carries on like that. I did like that. But anyway, where was I? So yeah, so in terms of the order, 4, 5, 6. I don't know of any Star Wars fans, or it's possible they exist, but I don't know of any that does not consider those the gold standard. I mean, I know that it's not just because they were the first and because I was a kid. I think they are better, but I mean, you know. After that, I would actually put episode 9 in the same bracket. You know, I liked episode 9 as much as 4, 5, 6. You know, when that comes out on DVD, I'll get it and I will watch it quite a few times. After that, I have to say, I think 7 is a tier down, but I think it's enjoyable. You know, it doesn't bring a lot of new stuff. You know, it does feel like it's setting you up for the trilogy, but it is enjoyable. You know, I quite liked it. Episode 3, I would put a little below it. I didn't think it was brilliant. I know Ewan McGregor used to say he was in the first 3 episodes and episode 3 was actually good. I wouldn't consider it good, but it's all right. And then I would say episode 1 and 2, you know, I watched, I mean, to be, you know, when they came out in the cinema, I watched it and I watched them again at the cinema and then I got them on DVD and watched a few more times. So I'm not going to sit here and say they were terrible because otherwise why did I watch it more than once? So they weren't. They were just disappointing, shall we say. They were, for me, disappointing. They could have been more, is what I would say. And then there was episode 8, which I actually think was bad, just objectively bad. I haven't watched it since that one time at the cinema. I will watch it another time because obviously I'm watching it now with my girlfriend, so at some point we're going to get to needing to watch episode 8, so I will get it on DVD, hopefully not have to spend too much on it because it's not worth it, and we will watch it. But I will not enjoy it. Anyway, the Foundation was there for making Kylo Ren, blah blah blah. But the thing about the Emperor, yeah, in a way, the inclusion of the Emperor, in one way, was a disappointing aspect of episode 9. That being said, the way I look at it is episode 8 happened, okay? Episode 8 was a thing. How do you go from episode 8 to making a decent episode 9? Now, okay, maybe he'd always planned to put the Emperor in at episode 9. Maybe that was always the plan. I don't know. All I do know is that, you know, Snoke was going nowhere. Why not him just be a creation of the Emperor? Yes, it sounds incredible. Oh, no. And there will be many questions about, so how exactly did you... Oh, I can't make it. How exactly... You're falling down a shaft in the Death Star, and then the Death Star exploded shortly afterwards. What's that about? And maybe there'll be some literature at some point that will attempt to explain it. I don't know. Not doing very well with these fires. But yeah, but the way I look at it is I considered it an acceptable way to mitigate episode 8. So I don't worry too much about that. You really like the movie where a ground assault was made on horses super fly high in the atmosphere. Hang on a minute, what's this? A ground assault was made on horses. Yeah, why not? Why not? Has its own local gravity. I mean, that's the bit you should take exception to. But it's Star Wars. I mean, you say episode 3 for you, the Anakin versus Obi-Wan, the whole turn to the dark side stuff. I mean, here's the thing for me, right? The whole turning to the dark side stuff was literally Anakin, Palpatine reveals himself to Anakin. Anakin goes off and tells Mace Windu. Windu's about to nobble him. Anakin, just out of instinct, defends the Emperor. Well, he wasn't the Emperor at the time, Palpatine. And then all of a sudden he pledges himself to him. So for me, there was no turning. There was he's a Jedi and then he's a Sith. Like, immediately. So, although I thought episode 3 was better, because to my mind, episode 1 and 2 were fannying about. If I was planning it out, episode 3, Anakin would have become Vader in episode 2. Episode 3 would have been the purging of the Jedi. Not just a few little scenes on it. That would have been the story of episode 3. But instead they just spent ages messing about. Hi Harvey, thank you very much. Kylo Ren would have been a good main character. His emotional conflict. I'm not sure, I don't know. Oh, boom. Was it? I did really like that link between him and Rey. And I thought that got really interesting in episode 9. That was spectacular. But, and although in isolation I thought he was quite good, I just had a little bit of a worry that with Kylo Ren, what he ultimately was he was like the Anakin moody teenager. Like, he was almost a carbon copy. Just a bit sulky for my liking. Bit of a whinger. Oh, Mandalorian. I haven't seen them. Right. See, I don't watch telly. Something like The Mandalorian, for me, I am satisfied that people have said it's a good series. So, ultimately what I will do is when it comes out on Blu-ray or DVD, I will then get it. But at the end of the day, she is enjoying the Star Wars films, so we will watch the Star Wars films. She may even enjoy the other films. She may enjoy the films I don't like. Who knows? Why is that not working? Stop doing fireballs at me. Star Wars is really a fantasy pretending to be sci-fi. Oh no, it's the fantasy element I like about it. I love that. I mean, Star Wars itself, the actual Star Wars film, first one, was, for me, it was just King Arthur in space. I like that. It's like the only reason I play Star Wars The Old Republic and enjoy it is because ultimately I see it as fantasy. I have this really weird thing, like, there are some science fictions I enjoy watching in film, although even then I prefer fantasy, and there's some books I've enjoyed reading. But for some reason, I've never been able to enjoy a sci-fi game. You know, I don't really enjoy Warhammer 40k, but I like fantasy in its different guises. I don't really, you know, I liked Warcraft, but I didn't like Command and Conquer. You know, I don't know. You could have literally the same game. I remember, like, in the 80s, I'm sure most of you are too young to remember this, and there was a game called Dungeon Master. It may have been early 90s. I think it was late 80s. Which I liked. I loved that. And then there was a game that came out sometime later, which was pretty much a clone of it. But it was with robots. It was sci-fi, and I didn't like it. Now, it may have been that the game itself was just not good. Why is this not saying I've doused a fire? This is a fire. This is me dousing it. Okay, apparently it is not. See you later, Dimitri. Hang on. He was just setting fire to that. Why is it not on fire? Oh, goodness me. You like the standalone stories? Which ones? Like, I mean, Rogue One I liked. I haven't, in truth, watched any of the other spin-offs. I don't think I have, anyway. Who's shooting at me? Is there a fire around here? No, never mind. I'd like to see Darth Vader. I mean, of course, they did a lot of background to Darth Vader in those like cartoony things, didn't they? Which I actually have on DVD, but I didn't get through them all. And now I've forgotten where I was up to. I might have to start them again. These Kulturans are like the whole Burning Legion invasion never happened. Well, for them it may not have happened. Right, where's fires? More fires down there. I'm going to go further afield for these things. Oh, mind you, buckets here. Fine. Oh, yes, fat boy. I have lost weight. Yes. Although, last year was the easy part. Now it's the more difficult part where it's not as easy to lose weight without me having to do something extra, I think. Where's that bucket gone again? How many more fires do I have to do? 5 more bloody fires. Ah, well, yes. Yeah, the face does show it more. You know, because from my point of view, obviously, it was quite gradual. But when I noticed really a lot, and it was, I think it was around about last August, and I looked at a video on this channel from the previous August and went, oh, yeah, I've lost quite a lot. But, you know, I've lost a lot from the face. I've lost a lot on the torso as well, but it's just sort of melted down towards the belly, so still have a fairly significant circumference, but a lot lighter than I was. Now, are there any buckets around here? Because that would be useful. Can't see any. I'm sure there are. Anyway, you say you'd like to see Darth Vader Obi-Wan. Wasn't there an Obi-Wan one? Wasn't there an Obi-Wan film? I haven't seen it, but I'm pretty sure there was supposed to be one when he takes Luke to Tatooine and then begins his life as a hermit or something. Haven't they already done that? There must be a bucket around here. Can I? No, too late. Alright, I don't suppose there has to be a bucket around here. Hi, Caleb. Yes. Am I still enjoying BFA? Well, I mean, the still word isn't really in there because when did I stop playing on a regular basis? I can't remember. It must have been well over half a year ago, though. So what I've effectively done is I've come back. I've played a couple of times on my Paladin, done some LFR, done some bits in Nazjatar and the gnome place. What's missing over there? Demolishers destroyed. I have not destroyed demolishers. That is very remiss of me. Let's go and find them. Oh, there's one. So I haven't really done very much. So, and I'll have forgotten quite a lot of stuff anyway. What I would say is what I've sort of said before. You know, I'm interested in the storyline developing, which I've sort of followed. But on a casual basis, I will end up cycling around several games. You know, for me, playing seriously, WoW was always the best one. I always felt it had the best end game out of the MMOs. Not that I could make that a very qualified statement, because I haven't played any of the others seriously. So I've had limited experience. Well, he ran a long way just to beat me up. But there's just certain things that I know about the end game in the other ones that I just know I would not get on with. Whereas, yeah, WoW, if I were, if I had still had the time to be raiding and all the rest of it, I think I would still be, I hope I would still be enjoying it. I mean, part of the issue for me has always been obviously choosing a paladin, that sometimes, part of it can be, are you getting what you want out of it in terms of the guild side of it? Given that I absolutely do not enjoy, it's like really weird. In World of Warcraft, I do not enjoy playing other ones for any length of time. Like I'm doing it now. I don't mind spending a bit of time on other classes. But I always come back to the Retribution Paladin, not even just Paladin, specifically Ret Paladin. Whereas Warhammer, my problem with Warhammer is I can't settle on an army. I want to play all the different armies. If I had that attitude in World of Warcraft, it would have been easy had I just gone Warlock ages ago. But I would not enjoy, I'll tell you what I wouldn't enjoy, which I didn't enjoy in Legion, and it's not got any better. In fact, if anything, it's got worse, hasn't it? I would not enjoy all the crap, all the low-level crap that raiders have to do. There's a certain amount of stuff outside of raids, of course, you should do. But the sheer amount of, and it's low-level, low-skill content in the game that you have to do as a Mythic Raider. It was annoying in Legion, and in BFA it just didn't seem to get any better. You miss those times when you could just think that Classic is the answer to all problems. But I did Classic. I wouldn't... The only thing I didn't... okay, if I were able to keep up a raiding schedule, you might think, well, okay, go and raid in Classic, because I never actually completed Naxxramas. But it wouldn't be the same thing. It wouldn't be the same. There's a lot more information out there now that we didn't have at the time. When I was raiding in Vanilla, of course there would be some guilds that were much further ahead, and occasionally they'd post kill videos. But there were no guides and stuff like that, and the add-ons were quite basic. Nax was extremely difficult. Extremely. It's very difficult to explain sometimes to people. But and I suppose relatively it'll still be like that in Classic. It's just the information. There's much less you have to work out yourself. The way Mythic raiding works now, completely different to the way raiding worked in Classic, is although you will still have to come up with what works best for your guild, your roster, all the rest of it, unless you are at the cutting, and I mean the bleeding edge, you are going to have a whole range of guilds who have killed a boss, discussed it on forums, done videos that are on YouTube, and maybe even done guides, actual detailed guides. So your job as a guild that is not at the bleeding edge is effectively to determine which of the available strategies, and yeah, you might have to tweak it for your own personal strengths in your guild and weaknesses, but ultimately it's which of these strategies can this guild accomplish. Whereas in Classic you didn't get so much of that. You might get a kill video. You might know someone in a guild that's killed a boss and might talk to it about you. You may not. But you were ultimately coming up with it yourself. Whereas for the ones who are doing Nax, I mean, I don't know whether Nax is even out on that yet, may not be. But when it does come out, if it's not already out, there will be a load of guides ready-made. There will be add-ons that will help. Oh, Blackwing Lair isn't even out yet. Okay, so we're a while away yet from it. Oh, what have I just killed? I killed a bunny. I didn't mean to kill the bunny. Never mind.
Lord Admiral's favor, friend.
What is this? Can I kill it? That was an awful lot of effort just for that. Oh, the consumables are crazy in Classic. Yeah. I mean, that's another thing. They'll probably... you know, the raiding guilds there probably insist on getting flasks and stuff like that now. Which of course means a load of people getting herbalism so they can farm Black Lotus, and of course having an alchemist that can, you know, get them into Scholarmancer or somewhere there's a table and do that. Whereas in vanilla, in reality, you didn't habitually use flasks. Didn't need to. You used them on the big bosses. But what you certainly did need is you would need, depending on the fight, if there was a particular type of magic damage, then resistance potions for those that basically absorbed a certain amount of damage. You want healing pots, mana pots, food, and again, whatever was most appropriate to your class and role. Which, as I was a paladin, was, in fact, it was almost everything. I remember I actually came top damage on Lothar in Nax, and it's because I could use several flasks. They were all used. Everything was useful to me. Attack power was useful to me. Spell power was useful to me. Everything was useful to me. So I just loaded up. I mean, there was a limit in what you could take, but you just loaded up on all these things. What am I looking for? Darian. But, you know, it wasn't habitually needed, but I bet it is now. In certain guilds anyway. But it will not be easy to get the Black Lotus. Endgame in Classic, not for most people. It's the journey to max level that we all want. Yeah, see, the journey to max level for me. Now, I know it wouldn't take as long, ironically, as it did originally. It took my first character 21 game days. Now, that's not because it took ages to level in Classic. That's because it took ages for me to level in Classic. The reason was that I was leveling, and obviously I know this is inefficient now, but I still would do it again. I was leveling as a Tailor Enchanter. Tailor, it might sound odd as a Paladin, but it's really because it was Enchanting that I wanted, and Tailoring actually supported it. And I insisted on leveling my professions as I leveled. And the problem with Enchanting, there was no Velen then, obviously. So you had to basically stand around in Ironforge selling them, because I didn't have enough money, enough gold, to just level Enchanting without having to buy some reagents. I think I wouldn't get enough reagents naturally from my leveling. So Yeah, I'd have to sell some enchants. Killed another bunny, didn't mean it. I'd have to sell some enchants to be able to have enough for... Oh, it's better than that. Oh, piss off. He spent all that time ignoring me while I was fighting the big Yeti thing, and now he suddenly comes across. I'm just going to wear things when I get them, you know. Just wear it. There we go. So yeah, it took me ages. Now, were I to do it in class, it won't take me that long, because if I was going to do it on a character where I still wanted enchanting, which I probably would, because enchanting is really useful. It's a pain in the arse, particularly when you need the master enchanter in Alderman, but it's useful. But I would be sensible enough to recognise that it's better to get to level cap, and then you can solo some content to get the reagents that you need lower down.
Times were simpler once. Seas grant you favour.
The other thing is in Classic, actually, when did this happen? Because there was a time in Vanilla when you just needed enchanting, you could disenchant anything. Then later on, I can't remember when it was, it may not have even been in Vanilla, but it may have been. They changed it so that you needed to be above a certain level to disenchant certain level items. Can't remember when that happened. Anyway, a lot of the fun of playing Classic when Vanilla comes out, it was 16, and seeing all the things you was doing wrong has been fun. Also took me around 20 in-game days till to 60, though your aim was to complete all the quests, whichever zone you went in. Oh, no, I didn't. No, it was certainly not. I mean, I did quest... I think I quested in all zones before I got to 60, but certainly not all of them. Like Desolus, I hated Desolus. I don't know why I stuck it out as long as I did, but I certainly did not do all of the quests there. I did more than I really should have done, because I took an instant dislike to it. Instant dislike. There were, I mean, I say I quested in all zones. I mean, I don't think there were any quests in the Barrens, but there were dungeons in the Barrens, so I still went there. And of course, you had to, like, the quest, well, not my favourite quest, but the quest I most recall, and whenever I'm trying to explain what it is I liked about World of Warcraft at the start that is missing from MMOs now, even good MMOs, it's just missing. So there was a quest that some elf gives you outside the Alchemist in Stormwind, in the Mage District place. Or was it the park? Somewhere. And he basically sends you from Stormwind to get some eggs from Stone Talon Mountain. No, Thousand Needles, isn't it? 1,000 Needles. So to get there, and this is quite low level. This is not a like level 50 quest or anything. This is quite, you get this low level. I was probably level 20 or something. So what you have to do is go through Elwyn Forest to get to... You need to ultimately get to Menethil Harbour, don't you? So you've got to go tramping all the way from Stormwind to Menethil Harbour. Go across. Then you're in Theramore. Now at this point, all the big spiders you see at the side of the road have a skull where their level should be, because they're all more than 10 levels higher than you. In other words, you will die if they see you. So you've got to run through this zone. Then you've got to... you go through the Barrens. Where's my... Oh, it's there. Oh, shit. Oh, what have I pulled now? How did that happen? Why have I pissed off these beavers? So run through the barrens, go south, which is not too bad. But then there's lifts to 1,000 Islands. Now, as a paladin, of course, I can't remember. Actually, you might not have had bubble at this point.
Not reindeer, are you?
But certainly what you needed to do was you'd get PvP flagged even on a PvE realm because there'd be a guard there at the lifts because it was a horde lift. So it was a bloody Torrent guard. Then you've got to get through 1,000 Needles and find yourself to the Wyvern Nest and get the eggs and then go back to Stormwind. That was one quest. It wasn't even a breadcrumb quest. There were not even other quests that it took me to. But I quite liked it because what it did do is it introduced me to parts of the world, like loads of zones just to go to do one thing. And I actually enjoyed that.
Every hand helps. Not from round here, are you?
I'm out of range. No more will we work.
Made the world feel more connected. Now every zone is just isolated theme park. Yeah, well, that's the problem. In fact, it's worse than just every single zone. It's like... And this is why I really hated the Cataclysm revamp. Because take one of my favourite zones, Westfall.
Forever belong to its people.
And all it became... Like, that used to include loads of quests that would send you all over the place as well. And then all it became is you start where you naturally go in, to Westfall. And then... You know, you collect some quests and then you do those quests. And again, those quests are done in roughly that area. And then it moves you on to another hub. And then you do the quests in that other hub. And then it moves you on. And then it just moves you on. And this is all it's doing. And it's just moving you a little by little. It's not sending you to the other end of the world. I mean, if you remember, like, there was the level 20 Paladin quest, which I think I was level 24 before I completed, because it sends you all over the place. You know, the various Warlock pet quests, the Druid form quests.
All to victory.
You know, all these things that would send you all over the place. And it didn't matter that you were taking a while to level. There was no need to efficiently level. Because, yeah, it wasn't always just being stuck in Ironforge selling enchants. I was also spending a lot of time on foot, tramping around. The level 40 trinket quest. What was that? I don't remember. Oh, no, I don't remember that. I remember a trinket quest, unless it's this one you're thinking of, the Thunderbrew one. Was that level 40? Although it wasn't really a quest. It was really more of a sort of a... It was a quest in the classic sense. Not so much... Yeah, that one, okay, yeah. I did. If I'm honest, though, I wouldn't say I did it. I did do it, and I got the trinket. But I did it by finding out about it on Thoughtbot and also finding where to go on Thoughtbot, if I am going to be honest. But I think most people must have had to do that. But yeah, the world now is most definitely just... And I know a certain part of this is because of expansions cannot be like the original game. The original game had, I don't even know how many zones. A lot of zones. An expansion cannot have that many zones. But... So I'm not sort of blaming, I'm not sort of saying there's anything wrong with the way expansions have been developed. It's just the nature of them. But you do miss that aspect of it. That exploration, because, you know, even World of Warcraft, if you think about even the raids, they were not connected.
Come back with stories.
They were all like they were just introducing you to different things. Oh God! I'm not going to use either of them. Unless it upgrades. It has not upgraded. Hey, got level. Alright, so your first one, Black Rock Depths, so that was teaching you about elemental lords.
Let us see this.
Then you had Blackwing Lair, so that was about dragon flights. Then you had Anchorage, that was all about old gods. And then you had Naxxramas, so about the Scourge. So it was just basically educating you about lots of different aspects of the previous storyline.
We must help them.
Oh, thank the tides, not everyone has lost their damn mind. Oh, the house has gone mad.
They said that Shadowlands is infinite for century. Well, we'll see how it works, because obviously Shadowlands is going to have a lot more on the procedural generation, isn't it? That's going to be the big thing. I mean, I would wait to see how it works out before judging it, because to me it looks like this. If you think about now, obviously garrisons were not a popular feature, but from a technical point of view they were very good. But think about where garrisons started out. The previous expansion of Mists and Pandaria, it was the farm, wasn't it? The garrison was a massively expanded scope. So if you think about the procedural generation we've got in BFA, it may be that in Shadowlands it's taken to a much higher level. So I'm just going to wait and see how it works out. Have I enjoyed BFA? Right. Enough to have come back to play it, I will say. You know, there was a serious... I mean, at the end of the day, there was a serious prospect of me never coming back to WoW again. So what I would say is, it's been enough for me to go, well, I enjoy the story enough to keep playing it a little bit. Not enough to play it a lot. Carrot on a stick trinket was your first memorable loot. Oh, that was a good one. You could also get the Mithril Spurs as well. What would have been my first memorable piece of loot? It would have been much earlier than that. I don't remember how much affection I attached to the Paladin Mace, the level 20 quest. Do you know what I do remember though? And that is the Cookies mallet, which was, it looked like a rolling pin. I like that. I kept that for a long time. Actually, I wonder if I kept it long enough for I still have it with transmog. Do I have the transmog of it? Hold on, let me just get somewhere safe. Oh, I remember Cruel Barb as well, yeah. Morledim's sword. No, I don't remember that. I do remember Morledim though. Morgan Lady Maul. Right, well, let me just have a look here. So 100 maces. Oh yes, I've got it. I've still... So I must have kept it. Rolling pin. I loved that. Actually, while I'm here, I might as well transmog that cloak. I did have a habit, I have to say, before transmog was ever a thing, I did have a habit of having posing gear. So in vanilla, if I was going to be in Stormwind for any length of time, and let's face facts, there was a lot of times when you'd be in Stormwind or Ironforge for any length of time, just guarding a post box or something, just chatting in guild. And I would deck myself out. I had that purple pimp hat and my Soulforge set and stuff like that. I would have different sets just to wear. So I did keep a lot of crap in my banks. Unfortunately, there were some things I would like to have kept that I got rid of.
not safe here. You must leave this place.
But I did keep quite a lot of stuff as well. To the point where I now have a transmog for a shield that you can't get anymore. So I imagine very few people have it because it was from Naxxramas. But it was not replicated in the tier 7 Naxxramas, which was Death's Bargain. Healing shield. Very nice one. I had that for a long time. I used it for a fair amount through TBC. I'm just randomly hitting people here. I'm probably supposed to do something. Doesn't matter. Duskwood was actually my favourite zone. You know, so I was saying before there was, you know, I didn't do all quests in like most sense. Duskwood, I absolutely did every quest. Absolutely loved it. At least I think I did every quest. I certainly didn't leave quests undone. You hated the running. Do you know where the running became particularly, I thought, clever and annoying at the same time? And that was Stranglethorn Vale. So Stranglethorn Vale was a huge zone. Very long. And you started off at the north, and you would have to keep running down to Booty Bay as well when you were like level 30-ish. And you didn't get your first mount till level 40, but there were quests in there that were for level 40 plus as well. Because you wouldn't just go to Stranglethorn Vale and do Stranglethorn Vale, you'd have to keep coming back. You'd go to other zones and then come back when you're a bit higher level for some of the other quests and so on. So I always used to remember in Stranglethorn Vale running down that north-south road and being overtaken by people on mounts. Because, as I say, it was the zone where... In fact, it was the zone I was in when I dinged 40. In fact, I remember exactly where I was. I was on that island with the water elementals doing that quest. And I dinged 40. And although I knew the paladins had a special mount... Oh, shit. I probably should have been supposed to kill her. Yeah, I was. Balls. Because I'd been told that there's a big, long... quest chain for the paladin mount. Of course, what they meant was the epic paladin mount. I didn't realise that, or maybe they didn't realise it. So I just carried on doing my quest, and I thought, well, it's going to be a quest. Obviously, I remember the quest chain for level 20 and thought, you know, it's going to take a while. I'll do it tomorrow or something, because it was quite late anyway. So then at the end of the day, I thought, well, I might as well just see what the quest is. So I went back to Stormwind. Went to the cathedral, and a guy there gives you a book. He says, you need to read this book. So I clicked on it and said, right, I've read the book. He says, okay, here's your horse. And I thought, what? Is that it? So there'd been me for the last hour running around like an idiot when I could have had a free horse immediately. Hang on a minute. I've not been recovering souls. That is why it keeps saying 0 out of 12 when I've killed loads of the buggers. Downfall. Level 20 Paladin quest is awesome. It was pretty good. So one of the slightly annoying features of it, although it was not a problem, was that you had to go to Shadowfang Keep. Now this was at a time when, you know, you wouldn't really get alliance groups going into it. There's no great need for that. But yeah, you had to go into it, and so I couldn't find a group, but fortunately I could solo enough of it because you only had to go in for the first bit. And then there was something you had to do with some ogres in Loch Modan, wasn't there? I'm trying to think of all the bits. I don't remember everything. You were 21, you found a 22 paladin also needed endured. Oh, right, okay, yes, I just had to solo it. I think I might have had my hunter friend help me on something, though. Oh, yeah, that was right. I remember. No, that wasn't the hunter friend, though. I've just remembered something else. So, actually, can I nick her song? No. Yeah, there was one where you had to go into... Well, you didn't have to go into it. I just thought you did. Black Fathom Depths. Now, as it turned out, you only need to do the outside bit. But the book that I got with the game, the map on it was wrong. And it had Black Fathom Depths in the wrong place. Or Black Fathom Deep, sorry. It was in the wrong place. So... There was me in the wrong part of Ashenvale trying to find it, and then, as luck would have it, there was a group of 4 night elves that were wanting a 5th to do Black Fathom Deep. And I thought, oh, I'll do that. Found where they were in the map, went through. Then discovered, of course, that you didn't need to do the dungeon. All the stuff for the quest was outside. But I got to do the dungeon anyway, so that was good. Quite liked that dungeon as well. That was a nice dungeon. Lots of little fiddly bits to it. What is this? Even as Alliance, you had groups for Shadowfang Keep, and Scarlet had a nice skill. I mean, I could get Scarlet runs because they were popular, but I never once saw anyone wanting to go to Shadowfang Keep. Oh, need to ring me bell. Oh, hello. Which UI am I running? I use Elv UI, or if you mean add-on. Oh, that's a dog. Thought I was going to get 2 with one there. But no, it's just his doggy. Which I'm sure doesn't have a soul for me to nick. You like the challenge of questing in Classic? Yeah, it is. I always sort of imagined, and I'm sure this happened, that the people who were not at all used to it would have come a cropper. So, for example, there's a quest behind in Duskwood, behind Darkshire, where for the Worgen, and you've got to kill so many Worgen, and some of them would be patrolling on their own, and some of them would be in little groups around the camp. And obviously the idea was, if you were in a group, then you would take on the groups. If you were solo, you would not be taking on the groups because they will tear your balls off. Did I ring my bell there? I think I did. Yeah. Whereas I can imagine people used to retail now that don't remember that, going into Classic and going to the Worgen and going, oh, there's 4 of them there, brilliant. Why am I leveling? Because why not? It's more interesting than grinding rep. And I only have 1 character at level cap, which is disgraceful at a time when this year the focus is going to be on the next expansion. So I need to, if I'm going to do that next expansion, I need to get busy.
I've always dreamed of adventure.
Right, what are we having here? Oh, God.
It's not a hard day's work, can't think.
Have I played Classic? Only the beta. I mean, I played Vanilla originally, which is why I'm not... No, it's not Paladin. Doesn't say it is Paladin anyway, does it?
To the storm and no peace. Flow through the shrine, so we might share your strength. It is done.
Finally, some action.
My heart belongs to this valley.
Listen up. We need to get you ready to fight. And quick.
Hello, Glock. Right, where am I off to next? Go and get that mining node first. When do I think they'll release Shadowlands? Right, I don't know. I think it'll have to be later than the last two expansions because they don't seem as... I mean, we'll have a bit of a clue when they release the alpha. Because we don't really know. I just get the impression it's probably not as advanced as the others were at this time of the year. So I think probably September, October. I was a Paladin Vanilla, yes. What do you mean, wake me when you need me healing? I was healing constantly and blessing. And I used to bless 40 people in 5 minutes and heal as well. It was full on. Don't confuse me with any lazy paladins that just didn't do anything. Paladins... And we used to kill gnomes as well. The paladin team... in the guild that I was in for most of vanilla raiding was very professional. We even turned our time to tanking when required. When the tanks were too stupid to be able to do it themselves. And that's literally true on Nefari, and I had to actually do a job of tanking. Because the actual tanks, well, not all of them, but we had... Basically, if you remember the bit on... where the Draconid things would come out in different colours and all the rest of it. So, I know some guilds had a thing where you just pull them all together. That was a bit too challenging for ours. And we had 6 tanks. Well, I say 6, we had 6 warriors. 3 of whom were fine. Although one of them had a dodgy connection, which causes problems for tanks. And then causes problems for the rest of us. But they were fine, they knew what they were doing. And the other 3 were useless. And I mean... useless. And it's not like a lot of tanking required that much brain. You know, there were good tanks, you know, there were ways in which good tanks can distinguish themselves. But yeah, anyway. So we had this problem that the Draconids would come out, the warriors would have to grab them before they went and munched on the healers. Because the healers did not last long. So it was 3 tanks on one side, 3 on the other. They grabbed them up, DPS them down. Easy, Nespa. No, for 3 of our tanks, they were utterly incapable of picking these things up before they munched on the healers. So first of all, we tried to split it up. So we had 2 of the good tanks on one side with 1 of the bad tanks. And then 1 of the good tanks on the other side, but it wasn't enough. So then what I said is, right, the solution is clear. We have all of the 3 good tanks on the same side. They deal with that. On our side, I will consecrate. So I will basically be the one to grab these things. Because I'd be healing at the same time. I'd be generating loads of aggro. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What's happened? Am I getting disconnected? Oh, bollocks. What? Alright, well, we'll see what's happening. So I would grab them, and then they would grab them off me, taking their sweet time. because at least, you know, healers weren't being munched and I wasn't made of glass. What's going on here? Something's wrong. Thankfully, internet connections have improved since 2004. They sort of have. I don't know why this isn't. Why this is not working. They are at least better than they were then. And my computer. I mean, I have a gaming computer now. Like, there's something definitely wrong here. There is something very, very wrong. Yeah, lag. The lag was real. And the problem with lag was twofold. First of all, the lag problems itself. And second of all, anyone messing anything up. Oh, it lagged. I lagged. You knew it weren't true most of the time. But it was a ready-made excuse. Because sometimes it was true and it wasn't always easy to tell when it was true and when it was not. I mean, all I remember, I mean, I can't remember exactly what my specs were, but they weren't great. They were all right, but they weren't great. It wasn't a dedicated gaming computer. Whereas for the past, I would say since Mists of Pandaria, I have at least had gaming computers. Better each time, but you know, all of them for that purpose. I actually, in fact, because my primary drive keeps filling up, I've actually got myself a 2 terabyte SSD, which I need to install at some point. The problem now is, because I need to use my computer like all day, finding the time to be able to do it. Because I don't know how long it would take to set everything up as well. Because I would do a full reinstall of everything. I mean, I've done it before. I mean, this will represent the third primary drive I bought for this computer. I had a 0.5 terabyte one to begin with. Then 1, then now 2. It's not urgent. I don't have to do it right now. But I mean, actually, it will be useful to do it because... Oh, did I not have Path of Frost? I did not. Because I also wanted to have a little go on Lord of the Rings Online as well. And there seems to be something corrupted on my launcher, so I can't update it. So it'll have to be a fresh install anyway, so it might as well be... I might as well wait until I put this drive in. I'm thinking... maybe in a couple of weeks on a Saturday or something, because Saturdays I don't make videos because I'm with my girlfriend now. I'm planning on rearranging furniture in all of the 3 rooms upstairs. So when we do that, what I could do is just replace it then. But we'll have to see. It may or may not. Or it may be that I get ahead of myself on one of the days when I have the whole day to myself. But I don't remember how long it takes to set things up. Obviously the key thing is setting up everything I need to do my videos for the political channel. All the games uploading is of lesser concern, I suppose. Because yeah, I'll just do fresh installs of everything rather than try and fiddle about. I've come here too early. I haven't got a quest here yet. Oh, thank goodness Fixit refused to run anything but the C drive. I mean, I still run it on that. I mean, the whole point of me getting computers with solid state drives to the primary drive was for gaming. You know, so that games would load, you know, I'm going from zone to zone and things like that immediately without any little fiddles.
How can I help?
I skipped the whole Hong Kong fiasco. I didn't skip it as such because I did. I do watch vloggers sometimes, so I did catch that. Yeah, so I didn't miss it. I mean, at the end of the day, Blizzard's PR department seem to be a little bit out of their depth, should we say, over the last couple of years. Oh, there you are.
The storm awakens in all of us. Reed, the fleet must be returned to Kultiras at once.
The tides shift, brother. If you do not stand with us,
Then you are lost. It is you who are lost.
you are always too weak to serve by Lord Stormsong's side. Languishing in martyrdom like a
We want war to protect friends. To protect our people. Have you forgotten our oaths?
great one deep below. By her will, we shall be whole once more.
I'll tell you one thing I wouldn't miss though, on, you know, if I was playing classic, the old way that whatchamacallit quests were done,
I have much to
like escort quests.
deal with them.
Wouldn't be enjoying that. In fact, if I was to do classic, I would actively avoid doing escort quests where I could. At least they're much better in modern MMOs, including World of Warcraft. Where? Oh. Were there escorts in what? D&D? You mean Dungeons and Dragons? I only played pencil and paper Dungeons and Dragons. I didn't play it on computer. Apart from Baldur's Gate, of course. Worst and most heartbreaking escort quests were when an enemy player would attack the mob. I didn't have a problem with that so much. It was more when the buggers wouldn't stop still. They would drive you through a load of mobs and then not stop. Right, actually what I want is pauldrons. Because the problem at the moment is I didn't have any other shoulders.
There is a bridge nearby
I think.
that gives clear sight of the Shrine of the Storm.
Right,
The omen comes
so I could now wear...
long has
Oh
my
no, that's no
order
good.
listened to the sea to guide our ships and our people. Gentle whispers, imperceptible to
Oh.
most.
Don't I have any
At
bloody
times,
damage?
Whispers changed. At times they were
Legendaries.
commanding, even violent.
I suppose there's this, kill Jaden's burning wish. I can't be bothered. Hang on a minute, what's this up here? Omen Investigator, alright, we'll do that.
I am listening.
Brothers and sisters, our glorious destiny.
They come from the darkest reaches beneath the tides. Most think them mere legend. Stories. used
Should have gone back and turned that quest in, I think. Oh, there's a flight point here. Right.
If they walk among us, the fleet is in
Storm
great
I'm just going to go back, turn that in, and then come back. Right. Hi, Mark. Shame about the alliance. What? I mean, my paladin is still Horde, but he ain't staying that way. He will stay that for the rest of BFA. Because there's no way in the middle... I mean, I learnt this in Legion. There's no way in BFA I'm going to still... change faction, because all of the story-based quests will be thrown out, I'm sure. That being said, if I decide that, you know, Shadowlands is worth a reasonable amount of my time, I'll be quite happy to do Alliance and Horde, or a Horde character and other Alliance characters. But at the moment, I just have hardly any characters. What? Oh, we're all the way back here. Oh, I mean, Stormsong Valley is my absolute favourite zone in BFA. Hang on a minute. Hold on a minute. What? This is not where I wanted to come. I wondered why it sent me back here. I just clicked on the wrong thing.
Ahoy!
I wanted to go there first. I should probably just cycle. If I want a certain number of characters leveled up anyway, I should probably cycle around them and take advantage of the rest bonus. So I've still got a reasonable amount of rest bonus there. What have we got? Half an hour left on here. if truth be told, in the intervening parts of the week, I'm probably going to be spending more time on Star Wars. How's the politics channel been doing since the elections finished? The elections were not really the boon for that channel you might think they were. So it's going okay. How much time with ESO recently? Recently none. I haven't actually been back on it yet. Again, I keep thinking I should at least do that to at least be doing some daily profession-y stuff. Oh, this is ridiculous. See, can I not get a flight point to there? Is it not connected or something?
We will not falter.
Must not be connected. Alright then. I mean, I don't have time to cycle and spend a lot of time cycling around different games. But I do like ESO in some respects. It's nice for a little potter around. And Star Wars: The Old Republic, I want to do this. I keep having to start new characters and do the storylines. So I want to do some of that. And I haven't played through any of the expansions for Star Wars yet. I keep I just want to get all the characters done and then maybe push through one of those on one character, choose which one. As well as level characters in this. Oh, that'll be why, because I didn't actually. Oh, I like this area. This is the honeybees bit. Want the bees. Like the bees. So yeah, next week it may well be levelling on a different Alliance character. And just cycle around building up the rest bonus, and if I want to level a certain number of characters up, and I do want to level up, I want to level up the warrior, the rogue, and the hunter at least. They're not all on the same server. And of course I also need to find time to be painting Warhammer models and stuff. So at the moment I am very much finding my footsteps in this different life, with a lot of different things that I want to do. So it's not quite all worked out yet. I'm very much making it up as I go along. All right then. Where is that silly kid? I've lost him. I mean, even in ESO, I want to make some more, level some more characters up. Alterac Valley, great for Ops during the anniversary, not riveting, but start spamming it. I mean, there have been times in the past when it's been good as well. There used to be, I mean, it's a bit different now the way it works. There used to be like call to action or call to arms weekends, didn't they? And whenever that was Alterac Valley, it was always bloody brilliant for experience. So if you had your character at level 50 or higher, absolutely amazing. You would save the quests regardless. I mean, you would save the quests for higher levels anyway. But yeah, you would just go into Alterac Valley. I would just spend all weekend in there. I think that was back in Mr. Pandaria when I used to level a few altitudes in doing that. I mean, original Alterac Valley was a bit awkward because it took, you know, so long to get in. But you'd have a long time in there as well. It wouldn't just be in there quick half an hour now. Although by the time you got in, you might not have much longer to spend. But so I didn't really get to do much of it. Except at the weekend. When it was busiest. And then, of course, it just became the Zerg. Which was fine. It was alright. Because I don't like PvP, what I like about Alterac Valley is I don't really have to do PvP. You just run to one end. You know, get yourself... you basically don't even have to encounter a horde player if you're lucky. Or, well, I suppose Alliance player if you did it as horde. And I largely did it as Alliance.
Which side is starboard again? Stay warm.
Use heirlooms. No. Hang on a minute. Right, so the last time I played this, heirlooms only went up to 110. Yes, I didn't actually think of that. So if they go up to 120 now, I suppose I should sort those out, shouldn't I? Let me just... I can't even remember where anything is. Oh, okay. Hold on. I can't actually remember where to get my heirlooms from. Collections. There it is. Okay. It's alright, I've sorted it. But yeah, this is up to 110. Right, okay, so you can get to 120 now. So you couldn't the last time I played. So, yes. So, yes, I should sort that out. That was a good point. This kid is an idiot. Right, let's have a look. Which ring? That's the lowest level one. So we'll just replace that, I suppose. Hi, Jimmy. Oh my goodness, Chaplain, thank you. About me telling you the gnome tech priest would never happen. No, I never said that would never happen. What I said was Vulpera would never happen. However, there are rumours, there are only rumours at the moment, that I may be wrong about that. The mechagnomes I didn't doubt. I was just... thing is, I actually don't even know much about the Mechanomes. I'm assuming that they will be an alliance allied race. In which case, I did think that if there were to be another gnome race, and there was every chance, that it would be a horde one. With the idea being that these allied races allow the other faction to be able to get different races. But yes, that doesn't seem to be how it's working. So as far as I can tell, and correct me if I'm wrong, Alliance are getting a double dose of gnomes. And the other thing as well I would have to say is, generally speaking, like, Mechanomes as they have existed in this game beforehand have not been that obnoxious. I've actually thought, I might like the idea of Mechanomes. However, the Mechanomes that they've introduced in BFA seem to be every bit as obnoxious and irritating as normal gnomes. So all they've actually done is given people who like heirloom gear a reason to level 2 sets of gnomes, which I'm not appreciative of. Is there potato people in Shadowlands? I don't know, actually. Let me think. Because it used to be the case that they sort of, with expansions, alternated between new races and new classes. Obviously, they've gone away from that now. Because in Legion we had new races and new classes, didn't we? Or a new class. And then we've got new races in this one. We may get potato people. Oh my goodness, Shepard, what are you playing at? You need to stop donating that much. But anyway, where was I? You're leveling a hunter in Classic in Ashenvale, level 27. Is it better for you to go to Stoneteller Mountains or go back and try a zone in the Eastern Kingdoms like Duskwood? I love Duskwood. So if you were going to ask me, I would say yeah. The only problem is at 27, you're very high level for a lot of Duskwood. It has got some absolutely classic quest lines in it. I suppose it depends on where, if you want to, do you want to go to where the nice stories are, or do you really want to go to where you should go for that level? If so, you're a little bit in betwixt and between at 27. If you were slightly higher level, I would suggest going to Northern Stranglethorn and getting yourself on Nessingwary's quest, because then you can find all those pages, because that's fun when you can't find one last bloody page. It's a long time ago and I can't remember. It is possible that if you go to Duskwood, you would find a high enough level quest to be worthwhile, and then a level or two later get yourself to Stranglethorn, which will be right next door. Stranglethorn is just below Duskwood. In fact, on your way you'll pass through wetlands as well. You may find something worth doing in wetlands. And at level 30 you can also do South Shore. There's not that many quests in South Shore, but there are some. You know, and I enjoyed them. I always used to take in South Shore because it's I used to quite like the Naga and Murloc quest there. Oh, hello. Been attacked by a bee. So when I came across these first of all in the alpha, I thought they were amazing. I love these bees. It's a shame. It's a bit like Murlocs. I'm always disappointed having to kill Murlocs. I like Murlocs. Why can't we have Murlocs as a race instead of bloody gnomes all the time? Stone Talon was kind of big deal to the Alliance player. The longest quest chain finished with meeting Tyrande. I mean, Tyrande is a bitch, and she always has been a bitch. I was never that bothered with the Night Elf, the early Night Elf quests. So I did some stuff in Darkshore, and I did some stuff in Ashenvale. I didn't do a lot. You know, I did most of my early leveling stuff in Eastern Kingdom. I mean, obviously I was a human, you'd expect that, but I did get about. Tell you, I think what I should probably do. No, I'll finish this off. I was going to. I've got like a quarter of an hour. I was going to go to Ironforge and upgrade. Assuming I've got enough gold on this character, I may not have. I can't remember. How much does it cost to upgrade? What does it cost for a token now? You get 220,000. That's not too bad, I suppose. You're starting to level up a Void Elf DK on Wednesday. Oh, you're taking advantage of the new DK races. How can Mechanomes become DK? I mean, to be fair, Death Knights have changed what they are so many times anyway. Like, so many times. They initially were, of course, orc spirits that were put into humans, and then they were raised humans by the Lich King, and then when they brought them into the game as playable classes, it all just completely exploded, and they were basically anything that the Lich King raised. And then the only objection to allowing other races to be a Death Knight was the fact that, oh, well, these races were in the game when the Lich King was defeated, and obviously Death Knights are, you know, the Lich King raising them up. But what I would say to that is that they keep changing the chronology anyway. Like, if you think about it, when you're level 1 now, if you make a level 1 character, it is after the Lich King was defeated. So, and then when you get to level 70, all of a sudden he's not defeated anymore, and you get sent over to defeat him. So, as a Void Elf, you can level up and get the quest to go and defeat the Lich King, at which point you are free to be killed and raised up by the Lich King, aren't you? So, I have no problem with it. You know, if Blizzard had a more consistent approach to chronology, then you could certainly argue that the newer races probably shouldn't. But they don't. So whatever. Oh, Bolvar raises them with spite. Well, soon he won't be, will he? Sylvanas, okay, technically where we are at the moment in the game it hasn't happened yet, but Sylvanas is going to take his hat off him and break it. You would like for more races to be demon hunters. I mean, they did say they weren't opposed to that, didn't they? And that was a while ago now. I think even in Legion they said they weren't opposed to it. I think they have the view that time has to pass for these things to happen. I mean, think about it. There was a time when it was absolutely unthinkable to have a Night Elf Mage. Of course you can't have a Night Elf Mage. Now we have Night Elf Mages. Right, I still do need to kill these. Right. Warcraft is just silly fiction. Think it too critically, it seems silly. It does. I think where people sometimes you know, it can be reasonable to take it reasonably serious is the, you know, the games have never really, they've just been a narrative to play in the game. I mean, when you think about Warcraft 1 and people can reel off to you the story of Warcraft 1, it's not actually the story of Warcraft Orcs versus Humans. You know, Medivh that was just the evil warlock living in his tower. The rest of the story was fleshed out in novels. However, because it's had a story that's been fleshed out in novels, you know, because it's now reached the point where the studio can afford to pay money to multiple writers, although I keep saying there should be one overall in control of it. And, you know, it has novels fleshing everything out. It probably should take it a bit more seriously. But at the end of the day, it doesn't. Because they keep changing their mind about things. They had a little law letting the highborn back, but it was very minimal. Oh, they'll come up with excuses for things, of course. Just like they came up with excuses for Tauren paladins and gnome priests. But they were not satisfactory to me. And we've got demon paladins now. In fact, in Legion, obviously nothing came of it. So we now have night elf paladins, ghost paladins, and demon paladins. I mean, anything goes when they decide it. Of course, they did that by retconning. Crap. What do you call them? Oh, bugger, I've forgotten what you call them. Dreadlords. Yeah, but what are they called, the Dreadlords? What's their official race name? I've forgotten. Do you know, you stop playing for like half a year and you forget everything. Nathrazim, thank you very much, that's it. Yeah. So they retconned that, and then all of a sudden we can have holy ones now. Because, they were, even though the original lore made it quite clear, and I mean the novels, quite clear that they were demons that Sargeras took advantage of. Now the official law is no, they're not. They were just this race that he corrupted, a bit like the Minari. You would play a Void Elf Paladin if possible. Well, I mean, what? Seriously? That I hate to suggest that there could be a race that is more appalling for a paladin than a gnome. But if anything, it would, but you couldn't actually have a Void Elf Paladin. Vulpera Paladin wouldn't necessarily be ridiculous, because we've already got enough pathetic classes playing paladins anyway now. What's one more? I wouldn't actually fund... If we're going to have Vulpera at all, I wouldn't object to there being paladins. Right. There's Rex rescued. And that would imply there's a thing here. Oh. No. What is this? A sufficiently equipped enchanter. I'm an enchanter on my paladin. I don't remember that. I might... Be a void paladin. Well, I mean, I did suggest, you know, the problem with World of Warcraft, from going back to a raiding point of view, is that a lot of fights, and you could argue this is just the nature of the way it is in World of Warcraft, a lot of fights end up being very melee unfriendly. The solution to that is then surely to make sure that there is no such thing as a class that only has melee specs. Your problem is that they've designed this system when out of your 12 classes, 6 of them have to be melee as damage dealer. You've got 3 that have got a choice and you've got 3 that have to be ranged. And you just think, so why not give a range spec to everyone? Now, I'm not suggesting that they come up with 6 completely new and unique ranged specs. That would be ridiculous. So why not take a ranged spec off another class and give it to the Paladin? And all you'd have to, I mean, and the other ones as well, I'm not just saying Paladin, all of them. And all you would have to do is just change the abilities so that they have different animations where it's all white, sorry, yellow and glowy, and give them all names with like holy something, but effectively have the same mechanics. So when you balance it for one class, you balanced it for the other. Because if they're not, you know, if they're not gonna try and make a level playing field for all classes, you're ultimately going to have to do that. Well, I say they're going to have to do it. Oh, it could be holy archers. It could. I mean, I was thinking, although there are certain arguments against this, that there's nothing wrong with the shadow priest spec for paladins. You just change everything from purple to yellow and give it all names that's, instead of shadow and void and stuff like that, holy and light. However, I would acknowledge the problem that by taking a spec from a class that only has one DPS spec itself, you might inadvertently, you may or may not, cause a problem for priest players. So maybe it would be better to take the spec... Oh, I've done it now. Must have rescued the dog without realising. To take the spec from a class that has multiple range specs. I would think that Frost would work. The mechanics of Frost Mage, that is, Frost Mage, would work. You just, as I say, change the animations and change the names of the spells, but keep the mechanics the same. Holy Wrath spec, yeah. Warrior Ranger. Well, I was thinking a warrior. You could do a warrior one with, like, what was I saying at the time? Throwing axes. But you could model it on Hunter or something. Well, Shaman. You say tank Shaman. Shaman's... when World of Warcraft, or when I started playing it, wasn't when it first came out, when I started playing it, on the website it described Shamans as being able to tank, presumably based on the notion that they could use a shield. I don't know whether that was an old, even at the time, I don't think they were considered to be able to tank. Right, sort of time anyway, but I'll tell you what, I'll finish the stream when I've gone and sorted out whatchamacallits first. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, something. What's the quickest way to get back? I want to go to Ironforge, so I'll go to Stormwind. Could you justify plate armor if ranged? Yes. I mean, if you're thinking about PvP problems, then that's for them to deal with. The bottom line is, well, you know, they've created a game where the best part of this game the one, well, obviously, you know, some of it's down to personal opinion. Some people may think that the leveling in this game is better than others. I could do with Ironforge. I want an Ironforge one. Do I get Iron? I'm not going to get Ironforge, am I? Is there an Ironforge portal? Because again, I quit the game at round about the time they were bringing these in. I bet there isn't, is there? Balls. No, okay. Pains in the ass. I do like this new portal though. It's very nice, very snazzy. But yeah, I mean, if it would only be a PvP issue, there'd be no PvE issue. But yeah, World of Warcraft have created this scenario where they've developed this game where the best feature, which I think is objectively the best, is its end game. Its raiding is head and shoulders above anything another MMO has. There are other aspects of it that people may prefer, you know, and that's more subjective. But you know, the raiding, when you consider the regularity of the you know, the frequency at which the raids are brought out, you know, the competition aspect of them, the interest in them, and all the rest of it, I think the raiding is very, very good in WoW. Its main problem is that it disenfranchises players of particular classes if they don't feel like changing class or spec or something like that. Or role, should we say. So I would come up with a solution. And if that solution happened to be that this ranged paladin spec only worked in PvP, because PvE and PvP are completely separate now. Totally separate. They're completely separated out, aren't they? So you can have a spec, you could just have the spec only available for PvE. That would seem a bit crap. Or you could have, for PvP purposes, if you use that ranged spec, then you have penalties on your armour. So you're still wearing plate armour, but the actual armour value is reduced by a certain percentage for PvP. I mean, that will still work. That thing Akama did in WoD Shadow Moon Valley could be a ranged paladins thing. No, he's really chucking hammers. I mean, you can come up with a range thing for paladins. I really don't see an issue with it at all. I mean, 2 ranged classes are already male users anyway. I mean, you literally could just have a small percentage reduction in the armour value in that spec. And if you wanted to do it for both PvE and PvP, fine. I wouldn't do it. I don't see the need to do it for PvE. Just for PvP. You could build it into both PvP and over talent tree. Yeah, I mean, it would be such an obvious solution to me, because you'd be taking specs that already exist for other classes, and you'd just look at it. I mean, for example, like Demon Hunters should have had a ranged spec in the first place. It was madness to me, because the problem with it is, every time they bring out a new class, it's always a melee one. And it's pure that. So the first new class they brought out was Death Knight. No range specs. You know, what am I going to forget? Monk, no range specs. And then Demon Hunter, no range specs. So a problem that already existed in the game from day one, in that a lot of the way in which they make the fights more challenging for DPS is of necessity making it extra challenging for melee DPS, which means that you will always do better by taking fewer melee classes. But then you compound the problem by making it so that you've got far more melee, because people will naturally be attracted to certain classes, and then if those people are also attracted to DPS as a role, you are going to end up with straight up many more melee players than ranged players, who have a much smaller choice. You say monks heal, yeah, but we're talking about people who want to play the damage role, damage dealer role. Right, hold on. I mean, generally the profile of the sort of people who want to do damage dealing is not really the same people who would wish to... Right, what do we do here? Right, let's tidy this up. Let's get out, let's first of all get out the heirloom. I'm forgetting where it is again, aren't I? Shit. There it is. Let's get out the heirlooms I would actually use. So, do I want crit or haste? Help. Help. Do I want crit or haste as a Frost Death Knight? Who knows? Death Hunters could fill a role. Yeah, I mean, I sort of thought, you know, Demon Hunters, that... See, there was no reason why they had to be in leather. They could have been a male user, and that would have helped there as well. I mean, I buy their arguments for why they didn't go with it in the end, but I think an overwhelming argument was there are lots of leather users, and there are not actually many male users. And I thought some sort of Dark Ranger type thing for Demon Hunters would work. So you'd also have another bow using class, which, given the way that loot drops now, poor old hunters, they're struggling. They haven't got anyone to share weapons with. So it would help them with the will. Right, no one's... I'm going to go with haste. We'll go with that. Yes, Ewan. What? What's you? Oh, you're not being ignored. Hello. Thought the new class choice would have been obvious, and even more so with mecha names. Tinkerer. Yeah, people keep talking about that. Don't have more classes, because even if you have a new class that has a range spec, you're still creating a problem that there's too many classes. You're making it too difficult for people to be able to organise guild rosters and for people to... Do I want this? I don't want that. I don't want the weapon. Do I? That's because I've not upgraded that, actually. I don't know if I do or I don't. I'll do a thing with it. Dread Pirate Ring. That one as well, I suppose. Neck. That one's got strength, so we'll get that. We'll have that trinket. Maybe we'll have that trinket. Oh, that trinket. That's the good trinket, isn't it? We'll do that one as well. Right. Oh, I'm going to upgrade it. I'm just trying to work things out. I may not be able to afford to upgrade. In fact, I'm not looking at this. I'm not going to be able to afford to upgrade everything. I'm going to have to get a WoW token. But I'll just upgrade something for now. What am I most curious about? I'm most curious about the weapon, actually. So. I'll get one of them. One of them. And one of them.
Off with you.
$216. That's better than... Well, it's higher item level than my things. Oh no, it's the same. But it will be better at the next level, won't it? Don't do neck or as... Oh yeah, I won't do neck. Oh yeah, armor, good call. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Yes, okay, you're quite right. So, we won't bother with those.
You got my attention.
Right, let's have a look. Need another one for that. What's needed for rings? Is this just... yeah, okay. Does this do rings? It doesn't say it does rings. I'll try it, hold on.
See you soon.
Okay, it does rings. Level 110 without Azeroth gear cause XP bonus means more. Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, so many good thoughts. Was removing Master Loot a good decision for the health of the game? Okay. I will have to say this, not actually knowing what raiders think of it now. But no. No. I don't see how it ever could have been. I haven't actually asked any Mythic Raiders, specifically Mythic Raiding officers, what they think of it. I cannot imagine it's a better... I don't understand why a Mythic Raiding guild cannot take charge of its own loot. For the life of me. But, you know, there it is. Right, let's just get 3 more of these. And then I'll get myself a WoW token. I'm going to have to get off anyway now. I'll get myself a WoW token. I'll do that. That. And... that one. Right, well, we can put some of these things on anyway, can't I? Cloak. That was higher item level. That was higher item level. Not the neck. Can do that. Right. Leave it at there for now, I think. Hold on, what's... see what's going on? Oh, it says 216 now. What do I think of the removal of Titan Warforging? I mean, the purpose of that was to keep Mythic Raiders interested in a raid when they'd otherwise sort of finish with it, so they didn't gear up too quickly. But if you're going to put in a system that does that as well, basically it's to stop them getting BIS. Now, if you're going to work on the idea that you're going to stop people being able to distribute loot efficiently, then that also means you don't necessarily need another system on top of it to make it difficult to gear up. So if they felt they didn't need it for its primary purpose, I actually think it's a good thing to get rid of it. Where have I been? I'll tell you where I've been, because I'm just about to have to log off actually, but I'll be back. I should be back each Sunday, UK time 8 PM to 10 PM. We are just now 10:15. So what I'd been doing, well, first of all, obviously, I'd been not playing WoW seriously anyway, because work was going to make it too difficult. But then I wanted to do something different with time that at the time I had. So I did a political YouTube channel. Now that political YouTube channel is making enough money to live on. So, well, it's not entirely the full reason, but nonetheless, I quit my job as a full-time teacher. I am still doing a little bit of part-time teaching, but I've only just, literally last week, gone full-time. So I'm easing myself into that. Now, in the fullness of time, I will have time to spend longer doing stuff on this channel, and indeed my Warhammer channel, which I'm wanting to resurrect. But at the moment, all I can certainly manage to do live stream on a Sunday evening on the vast majority of Sundays, and I'll try and communicate that more in advance, given that I've now given up on the new YouTube system for live streaming. I'll have to just use the old system. But yeah, that's where I am with that. So at the moment, what I have to do now, I have to go over and I have to finish some things for tomorrow, because now I have a channel that actually pays enough, but it doesn't pay so much that I can afford to just not do my schedule. I have to do several videos a day in order to get enough money to live. And obviously I'll be spending some time on trying to grow it. But I would expect over the next couple of months to be able to spend a bit more time playing games and doing stuff for the gaming channels. But anyway, I will have to leave it there. Thanks for coming on. As I say, I will be on again next Sunday. I'll put in more notice on the community tab and on Twitter and Facebook, indeed, of when that will be. The reason I wasn't able to do that is because I didn't know which link to use, because there are 2 ways of live streaming now on YouTube, but for some reason I can only get my broadcaster software to link up with the old system, not the new system. So the old system it is. So at least I'll know what link works now. So it may be a few weeks before you start to see anything like regular content on the channels, but hopefully that's where we'll be moving towards. But I will keep in touch with the streams. So thanks for coming on, everyone, and until next time, I will see you later.